Hello viewers. Well, recently we covered a bit of action on Dirt 5. I'm looking forward to that later this year. And it got me thinking when I was talking in the comments about other games that are similar, action games with lots of different driving styles and techniques. And so I had a quick run on Grid, which I know seemed a bit left field to some of you just trying it out. But when I'm discussing these games, the many different racing games, I'm referencing other games that have been released. Some of them are new games, some of them are old games, some of them are very old games. Some ideas are taken from all kinds of titles over the past 20, 30 years. But a game that came out a couple of years ago now was Gravel. And again, it's one of those games that just wasn't marketed very well. Not many people knew about it. The name wasn't really... I mean, we joked a lot about the name of VVV because it was a funny name. You know, it was... Well, you've got Dirt for Codemasters, you've got Gravel for Milestone. And Gravel, if you think about it, it's more like building materials than it is an exciting racing gaming name, and it really would have been better just be calling it, you know, another name entirely, something a bit more action-packed maybe around driving. But the game came out, and like with many games, they run at 30 FPS on the main console, 60 on the PC, obviously, as you see here. The PC version is night and day better than the console version. It's a different game to play. It's just so fluid. The graphics are really nice. There's lots of texture details here, the mud and the lighting. It's a great looking game. The cars are all fun to drive, and there's lots of different cars, tracks, things to explore in the game as well as I'm working my way around here. And just, you know, I was getting on it again and saying, you know, damn, I wish I could make videos on this game sometimes and that they would get views. I mean, this video won't get a lot of views because people just aren't interested. I used to do videos years ago on Drive Club, and they used to get almost no viewers. Nobody was interested in Drive Club. It was dead to people. Then when Drive Club they were saying, oh, well, we're switching Drive Club off. Suddenly everybody became a fan of Drive Club and said, oh, why don't people produce content on it? Well, people did. There just wasn't enough interest. And I think it's the same thing here with Gravel. It's one of those games that I would love to see a sequel to it if only it had a little bit more success at the time and more people knew about it. But I'm just coming to the end of this. There are various races then on lots of different surfaces. This one's been in a stadium, sort of not a figure of 8, but you get the idea. It's one of those sort of ones that sort of loops across the track and can be a little bit risky. And then, of course, you've got sort of very much open environments as well, like you see in this truck buggy thing. I forget all the names of the vehicles as I say this. I just jump on and drive. So but look at I love the expanse on tracks like this, the way you can see miles and miles and miles into the distance. You're driving to that point flat out. You feel the freedom, you feel the intuitive nature of the cars and the driving. And I realise, you know, how few games there are that get this right, because you've either got open world games, completely open, or you've got very tight track-based environments. Very little in between. And I feel that Dirt's going to be much more of a contained circuit environment. And I thought it was nice just driving on this. You know, again, it's so lush compared to the console versions. The smoothness, the detail, the graphical effects, and it's just a shame in a way that it just got sort of kicked out the door really, and there wasn't time to... I mean, this is the sort of game that if we had had time to do previews and really look into it, I don't know if it would have changed people's impressions though, because the console versions just don't run smoothly enough. And unfortunately we're in this world where driving, especially, I always mention this to people, if you're working with simulation physics, some form of simulation like you've got here, you need that fluidity that 60 frames per second gives you. You need that feeling of fluidity. As I just got a slight knock. I'm actually doing my best to go for it here. These vehicles move around a lot on their suspension, and I didn't know where I was going. So there's no practice in these races as I work my way along. And just trying to find a way through. Flat out now, trying to catch first place, but it's not happening for me. What are we at? 90% of the course. I just can't catch him in time. Enormous frustration, trying to slow down. Just about made it through that gate really. and in the end I lost a lot of momentum. Momentum is everything on that surface. If you lose your momentum, your flow, you can lose a lot of speed, and then you just kind of get bogged down. This track I had about 8 restarts on this. I got taken out. There's a car that crashes at the start, and then it's very easy to get taken out, and in the end, even on this run, I ended up having taking it extra slow, and then get caught out by a bump. But I love the idea of, I say extra slow, just a certain section where I knew it was bumpy anyway. But the action in the driving in this, it's intense. There's lots of great graphical effects. You know, you see views in a moment that go for miles. This is the sort of thing with the variety we need in racing games, and I kind of feel sometimes it's a shame it didn't do very well. You know, you're looking back now and saying, actually, it's got a decent looking game. It's got the whole Forza Horizon vibe thing going on here. In a way, there's a part of me that says there's quite a few games like this that were released this gen. As I got caught on a bump, it completely took me out then. There's a few games like this gen where I say, wouldn't it be great to see them ported next gen so that people can see them so a lot of non-PC gamers can see these games running as they were meant to be run. You know, 60 frames, all effects added, get the fluidity, get the feeling of the game and the vibe. It would add just so much to it in maximising just enjoyment out of it and seeing it as it was meant to be. Now I absolutely go for it now. I'm just pedal to the metal, no mucking around, pushing hard. And again, those views into the distance, nailing it fast as I can. Engine at max. Now we have a quick downshift and we turn in just in a moment. There we are. Get it in there. Trying to trying to sort of control the speed. But at the same time, the other cars are right on the racing line. They're just impossible to get past, and you need to be aggressive. I'm not being aggressive enough. You really do need it. I say that as I bump into him, but he's just in the way, isn't he? There we are. Get out of the way. It's got me driving like Lewis now, and there we are, sorted. Getting past the car and over the finish line. Not the finish I wanted in the championship. And so from the stadiums to the desert to the forest to the snowy mountains, all of the environments look fantastic. It has great textures and lighting. They improve their audio no end. In the replays you can see everything running so well, and it just got me thinking about, you know, so much was in this game, and it deserved a bit of a look back at it again. I'm interested, as I speak to you guys now, what racing games are there for you guys that you look at and you say, I wish that game had done better, or I wish that game had a remake? Do let me know, because it's always interesting to see. And that game could be from the 16-bit era, it could be from the PlayStation 1 or N64 era, whatever era it's from. What racing game instead do you feel that didn't sell well, got overlooked, or that perhaps the technology wasn't there to do the vision justice? I'm always interested to see those games. You know, if I talk about a non-racing game for a second, or there was a lot of games, say, on the Sega Saturn, and a good example is Burning Rangers, was a game that was beyond the technology. And I say there was games like Magic Carpet, beyond the technology. But in terms of racing, Formula 1 was always the big challenge, wasn't it? And so, of course, now the technology has caught up with the vision of Formula 1, and the next gen will truly be there. We'll be at a point where artistic vision is just an artistic approach is just as important as gameplay vision. And you can see here, wonderful artistic approach. What on earth happened to all of these assets, I wonder? It's such a shame. They make them all for one game, and then that game is gone, and that's the end of it. You just don't. They don't use them again. Who knows? And you see this a lot in Need for Speed. Was a good example where they were practically resetting Need for Speed every year and not reusing the assets, rather than building on something, and making something that could grow. You know, but good graphics are a big part of that. Is down to artistic approach. It's having the right artists on board, the people with the actual vision. You know, when you're looking here, you're looking at the colour palette used, you're looking at the detail on the tarmac, the rubber marks, the sort of aspect they've used for trees and foliage, in the sense that they've had to design the trees, but you've got to design them in the sense that the way they're optimized to get the best possible frame rate out of them. So you've got nice lighting effects as well, so looking at the lighting, and then the way those textures affect the vehicle, particle effects in terms of dust that you're seeing there. Yeah, again, you're looking at the gravel and the texture of that gravel as we drive around. How does it feel? How does it work when lighting is on it? How could it be better or worse? In this sense, I think that they've got really good artistic elements together here, and it's different to a lot of the other games. You know, another game from Milestone really was Sebastian Loeb Rally. And you say, why didn't Sebastian Loeb Rally do very well? Firstly, it had dreadful audio, utterly dreadful audio, and it just came out the same time as, or just around the same time as Dirt Rally, which was disaster for it. Had it come out a year earlier, I think you'd have absolutely seen Sebastian Loeb Rally 2, and then you'd have had, you know, another great rally game on the market. It felt like such an enormous waste. They had some tremendous stages in that game, some really good graphics on the PC version, and a lot to build upon. And then it just, because of various reasons, nothing comes of it. It makes you wonder, like you say, part of it is down to marketing. You need good marketing, and I think part of that is down to the fact that at the time Milestone were getting a hard time, and it's the same with Kiloton now. You know, they're growing and they're developing their tech all the time, but some people, they see one game 2 or 3 years ago and that's it. You know, it takes them years to be able to, you know, understand the development process. And the problem with racing games and the development process of racing games is these games take years to make. The technology takes years to establish. So it's not a quick process going from nothing to something. You know, I know people want an iteration every year to be a whole new game, but it's not. It can't be. It's impossible. It has to be a step. But at the same time, when you see a big development like this and then it goes nowhere, it's the end of that journey, as it were. Then they focus on other things. And I think it would be good to change the name, look at what made it great and work on it more and more. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this game and other games that are out there in this course of history that you think would convert well. Maybe not to this as well, maybe to Switch as well, who knows. Games you'd like to, racing games on the go, racing games that have potential where you feel perhaps not many people talked about it, liked it, games we should look at on the channel that I can run from the collection. Do let me know on that. I am going to do a little bit more in the way of retro gaming, and if you're watching and you enjoy the content on this channel, do like and subscribe to the channel. And if you really like our content, you want to support it, do support become a YouTube member and a Patreon. God knows we could do with a bit more support in terms of YouTube members and Patreons, so we'd really appreciate that. And of course then we've got finally just finishing. Now I have to admit, I didn't know how to turn my headlights on, so I had to run this in the dark because I hadn't set my wheel up at this stage and didn't know quite where the button was. I couldn't find it to save my life, but it did enable me to show you these incredible reflection effects in the rain. So hence I decided to change view here just so I could see where I was going a little bit better, but it was very challenging. But again, nice textures, nice reflections, lighting, clouds, everything is there. Doesn't it look great? It's a game that deserved a bit better. Nice audio to it as well. Very satisfying to drive. It's a game I would like to play more if there was an audience who'd like to watch videos on it, but there just isn't. It's simply not a big enough brand. And I guess and brands make audiences, they make followings. You know, if you're going to do Need for Speed, you'll get more viewers than you will on something like this, and so on. So, but I wanted to share it, have a chat, get my few words across on Gravel, and I hope you've enjoyed this little look back and a bit of discussion on it. And we'll see how Dirt 5 turns out in the coming months, whether they can bring all of the elements together and make that a proper package as well. It'd be great to have a nice versatile racing package that's, you say arcade-like, but that's got sim qualities to it and makes it satisfying and intuitive to drive, and that's what makes a great racing game. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon. Hello viewers, well thanks for watching the video today. Do like and subscribe, it supports what we do. Do become a YouTube member. YouTube Patreon supports all of our content you see on the channel, and of course lots of gaming from retro to modern games. I love it all in terms of racing action. So click on one of the two videos just there to find out more.